Today's guest on the Wynn Show is Becky Large. She is the executive director and founder of the Champion Autism Network. CAN, as it is affectionately known, was born in 2012 when Becky realized there were organizations that support children with autism, but no real supports for families. Becky created the Champion Autism Network to provide families dealing with autism a traditional family experience, whether that be a movie, a meal at a restaurant, or a family vacation, modified for those with autism. Her mission started in Surfside Beach, South Carolina, and draws families now from all over the world. I'm super excited to have you meet the woman behind the mission and my dear friend, Becky Large.
Thank you. Hello. Great to be here.
Yay! We're excited to have you with us today. I want to start straight off and let our people know, let's talk impact.
Okay.
So tell me right away, give our viewers sort of the breadth and the depth of how many, the lives that autism impacts and touches. Tell us how big this is.
So autism, over the course of the last decade, the diagnosis rate has increased from 1 in 120 in 2010, I think, to now it's 1 in 59, and that number is going to continue to grow. There's a couple reasons for this, but the impact is real. And all those people that have been diagnosed, of course, over the last 6 years that we've been working with and serving them, they're aging. And now, we're looking now towards longer term issues and how are they going to live, when their parents or caretakers pass on. And, it's a growing need for sure. And then, of course, supporting people with autism and the different challenges that they have on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. We've talked some about, in other locations and settings, you and I have talked about how when you even started out in 2012, dealing with and providing things for families with young children, and now you've not shifted your focus away from young children, but have grown to recognize we also have to provide for our teens, because in 7 years, those who were 4 are now 11, your 7-year-olds are now 14. So there is, and now you've even sort of opened up the window and exposed us to, and what happens even as they reach into the 20s, the 30s, and continue, that we'll see some more shifts and impacts.
Absolutely. Wow. As they age, we have to create programs to engage them. Higher functioning teenagers aren't going to want to come and watch animated movies like Moana, So we have to, increase our offerings in that way. And then there's the big concern about how do we get our kids out of their rooms and off video games and come out and have opportunities to socialize.
And can you speak a little bit to that? So in the introduction, I shared that you're providing a traditional family experience modified for those with autism. What does that mean to the person who's saying, I don't really understand that? What does that even mean?
People with autism many have sensory processing disorder, where they are very sensitive to lights, sounds, smells, crowds. Generally, when they leave the comfort of their own home or familiar surroundings, anything new, there's an anxiety component, and it can lead to tantrums and meltdowns. We try and eliminate those and kind of curate and modify events where, like our sensory-friendly movies, we have the lights are up, the sound is down, and the people are free to move around. It's not your traditional movie viewing experience, but certainly it is one that's wonderful, especially for families with younger children, where they can learn. It becomes kind of therapeutic. They can learn how to be in a social setting or a movie and kind of sit through. Our first timers rarely make it more than 10 or 20 minutes for sure, because it's such a different environment.
Yeah, I was hoping you would share that because when I heard you talk about that, I was like, oh my goodness. And when you put it in the context of what it costs, say we're a family of 4, so I'm even going to take, all right, so mom and dad, right? So mom and dad, we have one child on the spectrum, we have one child that's not. For us 4 to go to the movies is quite an expense. And then to think we may only last 10 or 20 minutes, it's like, why even try?
Exactly. And, that's kind of what Champion Autism Network was born out of, because it does become so isolating, where the person with autism, if you feel, it's probable that they're going to have a tantrum or meltdown the minute you leave the house, you're met with criticism and judgment. Your child's evil. Can't you control them? You're a horrible parent. You know, you won't leave the house. But by creating these events where everybody understands and gets it, the movies are free for a reason, because you're not going to spend $25 or $30 to go to a movie thinking you're going to leave 10 minutes into it. You know, so that's where a lot of our fundraising efforts go, is to support the movie program and giving our families an opportunity to come out where there is no judgment and they can socialize with other families, other parents, the siblings. You know, it's a whole family experience that is really important. And the movies provide a basis of trust for our families. They see that we understand and we know what we're doing. So that gives them, you know, the I guess, courage to go out to try some of our other events and go to the restaurants that we've trained, or perhaps take a vacation in one of our resorts that's been trained, because people get it and understand.
So if you would, tell those viewers who are not from the Grand Strand about Champion Autism Network in 2 minutes or less, right? We can't really do it in 2 minutes or less because there's so many different aspects. But you've mentioned training, movies, restaurants, resorts. What does all that mean to the average who knows nothing about your...
So in order to support our families, we started with the sensory-friendly movies. People wanted to know what else there was, and we took a survey, and they wanted to be able to go out to a restaurant. And, you know, as you can imagine, the activity that goes on, the smells, the crowds, there's some preparation of the different restaurants that you have to do. Yeah. So we've developed a training program.
Let me pause you right there, though, because I want folks to understand this piece. What do you mean they can't go to a restaurant, right? When I say we want to go to the restaurant, I go, hey, kids, go get in the car. I'm taking you out to eat, and we go. That is not the same for a family on the spectrum.
It's true, and it isn't. You know, because of the activity and the lights and the sounds and the smells and the crowds, and, you know, conversing with a waitress or a server and the different requirements, social requirements, you know, depending on the functionality level, it can lead to a tantrum or a meltdown before the food is served. It's very awkward. You know, people sitting at a table next to you are getting annoyed because they might not understand, or they probably don't. So we have different awareness raising efforts. I said we took surveys and data. Our families wanted to go out to restaurants. We developed a training program for restaurants, and then moved into venues like the Wonderworks and Ripley's and Dave & Buster's and different organizations like that, as well as resorts here, to invite the world to come play with us, the autism world to come play with us. Come play with us. So in doing that, when you're inviting people with autism to come to an area like the Grand Strand, you have to educate the people around you. So we have 7 public service announcements that we have aired on TV. We do speaking engagements all around, because we want to educate the public at large about, you know, the locals here, who's coming to play, so that we reduce the judgment. It's all about reducing judgment so that our families can come and feel supported. The feedback that we're getting from our tourist families is that we really are reducing the background chatter in their heads, wondering about, you know, what's it going to be like to walk into a restaurant in case my child has a meltdown. Well, if they go to one of the 20 plus restaurants that we have participating in our program, they don't have to worry about that, because everybody there, the staff already gets it, and the people coming there will be told, you know, this is an issue. So we developed the CAN card program, which participating businesses...
Yeah, hang on. Don't go CAN card yet.
Okay,
no, I got another question for you. We're going there, but just not just
sorry.
yet. So when you say we train the restaurants, right? So just a quick example for folks at home to know, what is something that someone on the wait staff might be trained to do or say to the family that they wouldn't, that makes that small modification that lets the family know, we get it, we're here for you, we're supportive of you. Like, what's one little thing they might do or say to the family?
Well, the first thing is that the hostess, if they show their CAN card, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, we're talking.
They know where to seat them, right? In a lower traffic area, maybe in a booth or in a corner, so that that person with autism can be kind of cordoned off. And then the server, people with autism process information about 30% slower. So to understand that reaction times, not to be hitting them with rapid fire questions, be patient. It takes us forever to figure out who's going to sit where and get settled. When I go with my family, I'm like, just give me the menus. We're going to sit down and just hang out, and we'll let you know when we're ready to order. And then, of course, if there is some sort of episode or tantrum or meltdown, you might have to wrap the food before it's even served. Just, kind of lead with love and be reactionary to what they need.
Lead with love, that was the phrase that I heard you say that made me go, I have to know more about this, because I can lead with love. I got, right? Where I was a little bit nervous about autism, not knowing anything about it, but
you've learned it's not rocket science, right?
Exactly. It's not rocket science. And that phrase, lead with love, I mean, if you can just go forth with love in your heart, you can make this for families so amazing. And so that, for me, that was my big takeaway. Simple. It's very simple to do. But the other thing that about this restaurant piece that I want people to hear what you just said, which was sometimes we may even ask that you serve the food ready, or you pack the food immediately. Like we're going to go in 5 minutes. You may have just laid it on the table, and we may be asking you to pack it in a to-go box, or even to serve it in a to-go box. So if we do have a meltdown, we can just jump up and go, and there's no waiting for the check and then distressing other patrons and that kind of thing. So I think those are the kinds of things where people who don't have an experience go, oh, I never even thought of that. Because for me, that's been a big thing. I never even thought about that you would have to leave so quickly.
People are generally, who aren't aware and don't know and don't have any connection or knowledge of autism, are really surprised at the level of thought and how simple it is.
Yeah.
But at the same time, something they never ever considered before.
Exactly. And so the awareness piece of all that you do is huge. Okay. Tell them now about the CAN card, because
I can tell you now.
Now you're allowed to learn.
Anymore. So our families, we have the restaurant specifically. When we started this, how are we going to know that it's somebody with autism is on the property? Because it's not something that we don't have anything kind of physical most times to identify you as like somebody who is in a wheelchair, or it's kind of. There's an issue.
You see the cast.
So we have a CAN card, and it's basically a business card with our logo on it. On the back is a QR code that you can scan for participating businesses. And the businesses offer a service or a discount to our families. Johnny D's Waffles and Benedict's, for instance, they are often on a wait, and our people really have a hard time waiting in line. So if you show your CAN card, you get to the head of the line. You get seated, and then they also offer a 10% discount. And many of our, almost all offer a discount. Ripley's has a discount, Wonderworks, and the other restaurants. So it's really been wonderful. And now also, you don't have to use the CAN card at resorts or things like that, but if you go onto the website, it lists resorts, property management companies that have been certified and trained, and then of course all our hotels and venues, and our services too. We've started to offer service. Angel Pets any CAN card member can take their pets there and have a trim or a grooming, and there's all kinds of different things. So it's really turned into a really great, robust program. And many of our families are on limited or one income because their children require so many different therapies. So anything that we can do to save them time or money, we really want to do that.
Oh, yeah. So we're talking about CAN as it is today, and the impact that you're having, the resorts, the restaurants, how your families are feeling when they come. Let's talk for just a minute about numbers of families, and what have you seen? You shared with us the diagnosis rate now being 1 in 59, but how has CAN itself, as the word has gotten out through your network, what's happened with that? You started from how many, and now it's...
Well, when we started with our first sensory friendly movie, it was spring of 2013, and we had 12 attendees. So,
hear that, 12.
And
okay.
they run monthly, and we've added, like I said, on top of the animated ones for the littles, PG-13 and older, for our older people. So the program has grown in that regard. But now, we probably average 125 to 150 a show with our largest is was just recently with 303. And CAN card is how we track our numbers. And at the end of 2018, we had about 400 local families in Orion Georgetown County and about 400 tourist families, as you mentioned, 27 or 29 states and 4 countries, which is exciting.
29 states and 4 countries. People from 29 states and 4 countries have come to the Grand Strand because of Champion Autism Network. That's impact. I mean, that's hair-raising, life-changing.
In May, the numbers doubled, though. By May, our numbers have doubled.
Oh my
so
goodness.
That's been great from, wanting to support people, and also shows the need and, the increase in diagnosis. And it's truly remarkable that those numbers have doubled.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So on the Wynn Show, we want people to be able to look and to you, Becky, and to all of our guests, and be able to see something in you and say, well, gosh, if they can make an impact in their community and worldwide, right, then I can make an impact too. And so from 12 to 300 as the top number, 303 in the movie, I'm just taking the movie statistics. When you started, go back if you can, right? Because things move at lightning speed, but go back to 2012 and just share with us kind of what were the early moments of, there's a need, what do I do? I hear a call and I need to step up. Like, what does that kind of look like?
It was, definitely a calling. And there's been a number of times where I've, said to my husband, I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't think I can do it anymore. I want to, turn it over or give it up. And, he urged me not to do that. And I'm really excited that, we didn't, because this is there. And now it's just kind of like, can't stop, won't stop. And there's so much more to do. And, just want to go. Yeah. We need money.
Absolutely. We're going to throw links on everywhere.
But, we've got big plans. 2020's giant. Really looking forward to it. But, starting small and listening to that voice and wanting to serve and support our people, knowing what it was like to have a child on the spectrum and how isolating it was and how much it changed our lives. Like truly, and wanting to support the parents, because what I've learned is that a lot of it is, providing the traditional family experience. The little ones don't know what a traditional family experience is. They don't care, right? Even, a neurotypical or regular child or a child with autism, they don't know what their parents' expectations are, but every parent wants their child to sit on Santa's lap.
Yes.
Every parent wants to be able to go to a movie or, do what they did growing up, with what their parents instilled in them. So a lot of what we're doing is providing these for the parents, and it means so much to everybody, for everybody to have this. So that's kind of what's driving us is, and what we want to provide for our families, and then to make the person with autism comfortable so that everybody can enjoy it.
Yeah. So for you in the early days, why did you know this?
In the early days, like 2012?
Yeah.
We relocated here from New Jersey, and we were in a sweet little town where I had grown up, and, it was a walking school district. And our house we had a trampoline in the backyard, and my husband loved to cook, and our house is where everybody came to. And they kind of got it. And our family and our son was comfortable there, so we didn't really necessarily have to venture out. We came here and we didn't know anybody. The services were different. As you said, there didn't seem to be anything for the families. And so, taking that and trying to create an environment or a network of people to support our, isolated families.
Yeah.
And it was what really drove it.
You created this because you experienced the need. Mm-hmm. And
I think that's what drives most people, right?
Yeah.
Even if you think of it as you're driven by your love or your passion. And so sometimes I think about, people who have a passion for cooking and they're a chef and they're working for someone else and they decide they want to open their own restaurant because they have a passion for it. The thing that I would counsel people though to do is like follow that but plan. So a lot of times, I was fortunate, I guess, because this was kind of very organic and we had people support us and want to help to fund the movies and, helping us to be committed to keeping them free. Now as the vision grows, we're just trying to figure out, and the mission and, branching out into other markets, how do you finance that and how do you plan for that and the infrastructure for that? So I would counsel anybody who wants to follow their passion is to really, though, plan and, business planning and especially the marketing plan, because that's a huge amount of money that most people don't think about. In a restaurant, you're thinking about infrastructure and the place and all that other stuff. But you're going to open the doors and you've got to drive people there. So planning. But I hope I answered your question.
Yeah,
it's all about passion,
you did.
and you really should. And, I feel like now with Champion Autism Network, I'm really not working a day in my life, like they say.
Yeah.
I love it. I get to plan parties for a living. I get to make people happy for a living. And it's really a happy occasion for me and those that are involved.
Yeah. And the feedback that you get from families is amazing.
It is.
I mean, it is life-changing.
It is.
And so I'm going to go back for just a second, because like you spoke about 29 states, right? And 4 countries. So people are traveling long distances to come to the Grand Strand, and travel can sometimes be very difficult for a person on the spectrum. But it's like, we're so willing to be part of a place that can love us, not judge us, and where people are aware of just the easy, simple things we need. That they're willing to come. Where have people come from? Like, what are the 4 countries? Can you name them off the top?
Canada, Greenland, the UK, and Germany.
Wow.
We have a number coming from Canada, I guess, because that's a good drive market for Myrtle Beach too.
Yeah, definitely. And Can was also recently included in the movie.
The documentary that aired last night.
Yes, so tell us a little bit about, and again, remember folks, okay? 12 people at the first movie. Mom who made a move and said, there's a need here. We need it and others need it, right? Organically, you said it kind of organically grew, okay? So it's not start by reaching out to every country in the world.
Right,
that
it's been 6
grows.
years, right?
It's 6 years, we're 6 years in. So start where you are and then it happens. And so let's talk about the BBC movie.
Okay.
And then I also want to talk about in those moments when you said, I wanted to give up. And, and your husband, bless his heart, was like, no, just stay the course, right? Because in the beginning, before, it's like turning the flywheel, right? Oh, get the merry-go-round to go. And then all of a sudden it's going so fast, you can barely even touch the
I'm getting
poles
whipped
on
off.
it. Right? Yeah, exactly. Thrown out the lens, Yeah, so there's a lot to go in there. But BBC and the movie, talk to us about that, because that's super exciting stuff.
It was just released last night, and I watched it, yay. And I had no idea what to anticipate and how much we would be in there. We spent 2.5 days with them. You can imagine the amount of footage that they had in that
They came here.
Days. Yeah, they came.
BBC,
yes,
right?
Yep.
Came
and
here.
They stayed in Surfside and toured around, and we just kind of tooled around in the minivan and showed them the Can Card participating businesses and what we did in Savannah's playground. So we were in there for 15 minutes out of an hour, which,
oh my gosh, that's a quarter of this show.
Yeah, I was
my goodness.
kind of blown away. Yes.
And how did that opportunity come to you?
Well, my day job is actually a marketing and business consultant, and so we're pretty good at marketing and PR. So they found us on the internet, and they were really impressed by. This was a follow-up to a documentary, Jacko and Me, done 3 or 4 years ago, about a father in the UK, in Wales, trying to find supports for his son, who's on the autism spectrum. They did a follow-up here about communities in the United States that are supporting people with autism, and there's nowhere else in the world doing what we're doing here in the Grand Strand. This is it. And so they came and spent that time with us, and so it was really, I guess they just found us online.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, they started, reaching out with an email and then a phone call and then Skype interviews and then planning. And then finally they came in December of 2018. So it was a big deal.
And the name of the documentary?
Richard and Jocko Take on the World.
Richard and Jocko Take on the World. And how would someone find that?
They, unfortunately, they can't, because right now it's owned by BBC One over in the UK, so you can only air it in the UK. I got a private link to watch it.
Okay.
And we have to try and sell it to BBC America. So we're trying to do that because it's not only because it's Champion Autism Network and it's worth seeing. It reminds me of the movie The Family Next Door, which I know that you don't know what I'm talking about, but I would urge anybody who wants to know more about autism and just get a great glimpse would be to find the movie online, The Family Next Door. Mm-hmm. It's an amazing documentary. It's along those
powerful.
lines.
Yeah.
And the thing that I really liked about the documentary is, just the parallel in what Richard Milan, the actor and the father in the documentary, is talking about reducing judgment and, interviewing people with autism and how difficult it is for them to be out in public and the assault that they feel by, crowds and just being out of a familiar environment, whatever their age, and the challenges that they're presented to. And then, like I said, reducing the judgment and creating more environments that are sensory friendly. So we're right in there with, what he was saying. So that was really neat.
So let's make a real call to action here for our viewers, right? Because you never know who's going to see this. If you have any contacts along the BBC lines and BBC America and could support us in getting, say the name of it again.
Richard and Jocko Take on the World.
Richard and Jocko Take on the World to BBC America. We are reaching out and saying, hey, we need your help to do that. So you can contact us through WynnGodbold.com. Okay. And the Champion Autism Network as well. .com, right? Yes. Okay, absolutely. But we're making that official call because you never know.
I know.
It's 6 degrees of separation, right? Somebody there is watching going, oh, my best friend works for the BBC America.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
That would be great. But I'm told we have to go through the producer who, it's called Yaya Productions, who made it for the BBC. And so, but anyway, if we can have some sort of social media campaign to bring it here, that would be great.
Yeah.
I think
Yaya Productions, we need to touch base there.
Yes.
Okay. Yaya Productions, who knows somebody?
It's spelled IE Productions. It's a Welsh thing.
Okay, gotcha. Super. Okay, so we start small. We're big. We've been featured in this now. What's the vision? Where is the next level of growth for Champion Autism Network?
We are laying the groundwork to go into new markets, national. So it's probably all I can say right now, but we're shooting for the beginning of 2020. Okay. And in doing so, we're providing an opportunity for our families to go other places. And with, I hesitate to say a plethora of choices, but a plethora of choices for them to vacation and have fun, and then for the locals in those markets also to be supported. So we're going. And we're really, really excited about it.
There's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes right now that I know you are tight-lipped holding on to this. But just so you know, be listening out because 2020 will be here before you know it. And these are some big opportunities to really reach out in other communities. Not that we don't want people to visit the Grand Strand.
No.
Because, hey, we are super. The Grand Strand is an amazing vacation destination. But we also know that if you're somewhere else in the country,
everybody wants Can. When the tourists come here, they want to take Can home with them because with all the sensory-friendly events that we offer and the judgment-free zone and the PSAs that we're running and, all the efforts that we're doing to support our people, they want that where they live. Mm-hmm. And everybody should have that where they live.
Absolutely.
And we can do that. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Come play with us everywhere in the world,
please.
Right? So just real quickly, as we begin to sort of wrap up here, Surfside Beach is really, that's your home, and that's where you started, right? Close to home. See, you don't have to go to the next county to do anything. You start right at home. And Surfside Beach made a declaration, right? So tell us, and that was followed by Myrtle Beach and Horry County. So tell us a little bit about what that was, because that's significant as we talk about the visitors, international visitors, and visitors from all over our country as well. We're the only one, and it started right at Surfside. So
right,
tell
that
about
was kind of the
declaration.
springboard. So, when we started, we had the sensory-friendly movies, and then families wanted to know what else there was, and then we started to train the restaurants. We received grant funding for that, and it was only for people in Horry County. And you talk to the employers here and you see all the economic news. When the season ends, people get laid off and they do all this stuff. And, when I started to think about it, we live in this great tourist destination and everybody's really kind and we've had a lot of success and support. Why wouldn't we invite the autism world to come play with us?
Yeah.
So in speaking with the Surfside Beach Business Committee, they thought that it was a great idea issuing this proclamation. And so in January of 2016, they issued the proclamation, and we just kind of leveraged that and, declaring it the first autism-friendly travel destination. Joke that, if Google says it, it's true.
Absolutely.
I don't know that there's anywhere else quite doing it this way. I'm pretty certain there isn't. And then through our efforts in the end of 2018, Myrtle Beach and Horry County issued similar resolutions. So we're really blessed by the support, for sure.
And to say we are an autism-friendly vacation destination. That's the proclamation they're making. And we're living into that.
And providing the economic impact, because we try and encourage our families not to come during the high season, because if you can, it's anything but sensory friendly. It's hot, it's crowded, it's, the roads are horrific, the lines. So if we can build business in the shoulder months, April, May, September, October, November, keep people employed more, drive traffic to the businesses that are supporting us. And that has really proven to be successful as well. So, it's got to be a win-win-win.
Yeah.
A win-win-win.
Win-win.
We got it right here.
Absolutely.
A win for our families and the businesses and for Can.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's, I've often heard you say there's no downside to Can.
There is no downside.
And there is no downside to Can. I mean, the service,
there's no downside.
There is not
it's
one.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah, every time you turn over another rock, it's like, look, another side of winning,
It's so fun.
It's amazing.
It is.
Yeah.
Really, truly blessed.
So a minute ago, you gave to our viewers some advice, which was follow your passion, but have a plan.
Yes.
Have a plan. You also gave a great nugget, which was don't forget the marketing when you're setting up anything, because if you can't drive people to it and get the word out, then
Can
you're beautiful,
wouldn't be where
whatever.
we were,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Without that, like we invest in our online presence and getting the word out there, and because that's the only way we're going to be able to succeed in our mission and supporting our families and locals or tourists.
Yeah, and that shows in your sheer numbers.
There is one thing though with planning, though, you have to truly be flexible, because a Wynnism is we're building it while we're flying it too. So there is some component of that, to be entrepreneurial. I come from a for-profit background, and it's an overlay on nonprofit, which has been kind of interesting. But truly, every day we're building it while we're flying it. But at the same time, looking ahead and strategizing and planning on how to fund it or, support it, which is really important. Because we want to be here for the long haul.
Right.
We don't want to be a flash in the pan.
Yeah. Well, you're 7 years in already. Can you believe it's been 7 years?
No.
I'm sure you're, well, never mind. I was going to say you might already be planning your 10-year celebration, but probably not. I hope I didn't just stress you out by saying it's only 3 years away.
I got to get through today first.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 2020. I just got to get to January 1st.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, that's as far as we're going. Yeah. So I think our viewers probably have gained quite a bit in learning about, and hearing their own call, coming from a place of need, being passionate about, create the plan, look at the marketing kind of piece, and people will come. People show up to help.
For sure.
One thing I said we would go back to, we'll just hit on this really quickly, is in the early days when it was really that pulling and getting it going, and you had those moments of, I'm just going to stop. I know Mike was very supportive and said,
Yes.
don't stop, right? What can you tell us about those moments for somebody who maybe is in the early stages of something and they are watching, feeling like, I wanted to quit today, this morning when I got up. Why should they not quit? Or what kept you going other than him just saying, keep going, Becky?
So I think one thing is to detach from the emotion, right? Because a lot of that is you're being driven by fear. So if you can detach from that emotion and not be so down in it, and because everything takes longer than you want it to. It just does, right? So when it's not happening in your time frame, you really have to detach from that emotion, give it up to God, whatever you want to call it, and just sit with it and be. Don't do anything reactionary, especially if it's a passion or something that you want to do, and just kind of stay the course. And something will bubble to the surface. You will be given guidance and direction somehow, whether somebody like you enters my life to help give me direction and focus and support, or, who knows, it's some fabulous experience that reminds you of why you're doing what you're doing. And so, just sit with it and don't be reactionary, really. If it is a true passion and calling, maybe it won't be presented. You won't be able to present it in the way that you thought it would be, but you will have the opportunity to continue.
I love it. I love it. Things we are passionate about bring up the most of our fears.
Oh, yeah.
And you said it. It's usually fear-based. Just stop.
Every day I go through, I'm gripped with fear about something.
Yeah.
And you're just, like, okay, well, it's not going to change this minute or maybe even today or this week or this month, maybe, and it's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Don't be
okay.
afraid. Don't be
Stay
motivated
with
by
it.
fear.
Yeah. Oh.
Do not be motivated by fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cowabunga.
I love it. Keep on going, right?
Go, baby.
Okay. So to wrap us up right here, I'm going to totally give you the floor to just speak into the hearts and minds of folks and say to them, here's how you can best support us. Here's what we need right now, because you're a nonprofit, you're doing amazing work in the world, and you've provided a great service here by letting our people get to know you, being inspired to keep going. So just tell them, what is it and how do we give it to you?
Ooh.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing I think about is if there's a way to do the social media campaign to get the BBC documentary aired on BBC America. I think that would be huge for the organization from a more global perspective, as far as getting support and reach. Certainly our plans to reach out into other markets, it would definitely support that, and the different organizations that we're speaking with right now to do that. Of course, the other thing is we are committed to keeping the movies free. We are growing, and if financial donations are probably the best way that you could help us. Attending our events here, if you're local in the Myrtle Beach area, we've got a couple fundraisers coming up. Champion Autism Network on Facebook, all of our events are listed there. Follow and share, and if donations can be accepted through championautismnetwork.com, and any support you could provide would be greatly appreciated by the organization, of course, all the families that we support.
Yes, this is the place. Come play with us. This is the support these folks and support these families. It's a growing need, and it's a win-win-win all the way around. So,
Win-win-win-win.
Yes. French fries. Okay, so Becky, thanks for being with us today and sharing a little bit of the CAN story. We hope that this has served you in some way. We encourage you to reach out and to share this with folks who could benefit from this kind of information and knowledge.
And if I can help with anything, please contact me. I'm happy to help. And good luck. Go get them. You can do it. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
Sorry.
That's great. No, that's super. But we certainly want to be able to share this with families who who have children or family members at all on the spectrum, because hearing from you and knowing what's going on, this is another way to just get the CAN message out there. So share it, like it, send it to anybody that you think this will serve, and we would be happy to host them along the Grand Strand in one of our autism-friendly restaurants, hotels, entertainment venues, come see a movie, everything. So, thanks so much for being with us for this edition of the Wynn Show. We appreciate having Becky here.
Thank you.
And y'all have a great afternoon. Be inspired.